Hey there, Tundra Nation. Welcome back to the channel. Today on Tundra Tactical, we cater to the ramen hoovering college kids once again in the second installment of how to get into shooting on the cheap. So stay tuned, thanks for watching, and let's start the show. Before we do that, however, we need to address the current ammunition situation. With almost non-existent supplies and huge backorder times, we here at Tundra Tactical are having a hell of a time getting together the 40 some odd cents per round for that next big carbine video.
It's not enough.
Subscribing to the channel takes only seconds and allows us to briefly bask in the tainted light that is YouTube's ad revenue right before they demonetize this video. You know what? That actually sounds like a terrible long-term financial plan. Hey Eric, I thought you had an MBA, man. Come on. I'll tell you what, if you're loving the content, then head on over to our Patreon and support us there. That way we can once again briefly escape the clutches of our YouTube overlords. At least until they do the same thing there.
No! God, please, no!
Speaking of ammunition, it'll cost you more money every time that you go shooting. This is something that can be easily forgotten about, especially early on with the excitement focused on the new firearm you just picked up. If you're watching this guide between the dates of today and right up until about the end of the world, these tips will not be relevant, due to the ammo shortage and all. But maybe, just maybe, you can take this advice with you into the afterlife for all your ammo purchasing needs. Maybe I shouldn't have been ragging on all those 40 shooters the whole time. Seems they actually have ammo in stock once in a while. Nah, those guys are way too easy to make fun of, and I stand by my convictions. There are a couple of different ways I like to buy my ammunition. In my experience, buying ammo the day of the range trip is usually the worst way to go about things. After range fees and ammo that's usually marked up a bit, it's really easy to drop over $100 just for a couple of hours of enjoyment with your new firearm. The two ways I usually buy are either in bulk or a little bit at a time, all the time. Buying in bulk is pretty self-explanatory. You buy a case, which for most calibers is roughly about 1,000 rounds, or a half case at a time, you're gonna get good pricing as well. Some places will even ship for free when you spend over $100 at a time, which I think is a hell of a deal when you consider how much ammo actually weighs. The second method might sound like gobbledygook, but hear me out. Every time I'm at a place that sells ammo, I see what they have on sale, and usually buy 1 or 2 boxes. This way, I'm constantly growing and keeping up on my stock, and when range day comes, if I don't have a chunk of cash for ammo that day, I can just go get high on my own supply. This allows me to know that I'm buying ammo at good prices. Ooh boy, I sure wish that were true today. If 5.56 isn't on sale, I'll just buy some 9mm or something else. That way I don't get sticker shock when it comes to buying that brick of ammo at the range or buying that case all at once from Midway. Bear in mind that these two specific calibers at the time of recording this video are somewhat difficult to come by. Earlier, I mentioned range fees. Most ranges either have fees to use a lane or memberships, or sometimes both. If you can find a guy with some land that doesn't mind you shooting on it, that's ideal. Since you're broke, I'm assuming that you don't have 40 acres that you can just go blasting tannerite on whenever you feel like it. If you bum around the gun range or the gun shop long enough, however, you might actually start getting to know people. I know, weird, right? Spend enough time doing this and you could run into somebody who'd be willing to take you under their wing. Going to a match might also be a good way to run across somebody as well. If you talk to anyone at these venues that does have private land to shoot on, don't be a dickhead and invite yourself over. One thing about gun guys with a lot of land is that they tend to be a little wary of trusting people that they don't know onto their property, especially if it's for shooting stuff. Ask questions about the sport, and possibly if they know any good places to shoot, and then after a few conversations they might just invite you over, and that's when you need to show up. Common courtesy dictates that you bring your own paper targets or maybe a old pizza box or two, and if they have steel targets it'd be a nice gesture to bring some white or red spray paint along to touch up the targets when you're done shooting. Bonus tip here, if you are rifle shooting, ask if the steel is rifle rated before dumping rounds on them. Those things ain't cheap. Also, clean up your brass and ask them if they want it for reloading. These things will go a long way towards helping you get invited back. Now, this series has gone on longer than it has any right to coming from us, and if you're still here with the expectation of learning anything of value, I suggest you enroll in some therapy from our sponsor, Just as good psychiatric solutions. Do you know somebody who thinks ACUs are just as good as multicam? Does your dad still insist that his old lever action 30-30 will keep the house safe from intruders? Just as good psychiatric solutions is dedicated to helping those poor, deluded souls. Since our founding 3 weeks ago, our dedicated team of psychiatrists, shrinks, bamboozlers, and witch doctors have helped hundreds of FUDs, COD kids, just as gooders, tactical Timmies, and just plain idiots get back into society. From getting Larry from down the street to shut up about that Taurus being just as good as a Glock or SIG, to convincing Broforce 69 that crotch carrying a Smith & Wesson 500 isn't exactly the greatest idea, Just as Good Psychiatric Solutions is committed to helping its patients re-enter society smarter, better informed, and hopefully, a lot less stupid. Now for the back half of the video where we talk pistols. Fortunately for you, if done right, pistol buying is actually way easier than first-time rifle buying. There definitely are a couple of ways to skin this cat, but the quickest and most cost-effective way to get into a pistol for a tactical or sporting purpose is only 2 steps long. Step 1, go buy a used Glock. Step 2, make sure it's chambered in 9mm. Now, before you attack me in the comments section below, hear me out. No, I do not think that Glocks are the best guns in the entire world.
You liar!
I'm not even willing to argue that 9mm is the best caliber to buy. It is. But if you buy a Glock, make sure it's a 17, 19, or even a 34. That way you're going to have something that will be reliable, cost-effective to shoot, and will have a ton of aftermarket options. Now I know that you can sometimes find cheaper guns that are somewhat on par with that coveted Glock perfection. Brands like Canik might come to mind. And while they may be cheaper, in most cases they don't have that aftermarket support that Glock does. And if you have the intention of ever growing into anything different as far as activities go as a shooter, this will definitely hurt you later on down the road. Finding affordable holsters, sights, replacement parts, etc. for Glock will be way easier and potentially cheaper in some cases than probably any other handgun period. Plus, it's incredibly easy for you to sell your Glock if you decide that SIG, FN, or CZ is more your jam. But you'll be able to have something that you can at least learn on and teach yourself what you find most important in your handgun before you spend all that money on a SIG Legion series. Or maybe you'll just turn into a Glock tard and Gucci the hell out of it, for reasons. 9mm is possibly the cheapest centerfire pistol cartridge to shoot. Now that I say that though, somebody in the comments will bring up some obscure milsurp round from Honduras that's cheaper. As a bonus, 9mm is also a great round for CCW, plinking, training, or shooting matches. Someday you might want to change calibers, but remember what our context here is, somebody looking to get into shooting on a budget. Also, plenty of guys just stick with 9mm their entire lives and are totally satisfied with that choice. Now we've tried to give you some ideas on the most cost-effective ways of getting some hardware into your life. But these things still cost money.
Dollar bills, y'all.
How are we gonna raise that money, you might ask? Well, I recommend you beg for it. Maybe take out a loan against your IRA. Refinance your car. Start bootlegging cigarettes to Canada. Actually, no, don't do this. This is an actual felony. Please don't do that.
You guys are under arrest for Grand Theft Swayze train.
You could join a class action lawsuit. Collect your stepdad's beer cans and take them to the recycling center. Start flipping electronics you find at the Goodwill. Dig through the cushions of your friends' couches, or use that fancy college education to come up with a foolproof 2-step plan to make loads of money. Step 1, steal underpants. Step 2, profit. Here's something that I want to make sure I drop in here right before we wrap this up. It might be tempting to think that you're going to save some money by building an AR or pistol from 80% lowers. 80% lowers are super cool, and there definitely is a place for them, but don't make the mistake of using one of these for your first gun. Chances are, if you're anything like me, you're either going to wreck the whole damn thing and just become discouraged, or you'll get them barely working and be both discouraged and think that all guns are supposed to feel like you're dragging your nutsack through broken glass to get them up and running. Also, don't get a polymer for your first AR lower. There are people who have them, and yes, they swear by them, and they swear they're just as good. Hey guys, check out the sponsor. But I don't believe them. I do know that you'll have a product that lasts if you buy an aluminum lower, but I can't promise you the same thing about polymer. Well, that about wraps it up for this week, folks. If you disliked the video, then you go take your ammo shortage frustrations out on somebody else. and your parents told me to tell you that you're adopted. If you liked the video, make sure to smash that thumbs up button and share it around with your friends. Consider subscribing to the channel and checking out our Patreon page to stay up to date on current and future content. Stop laughing, Rome. And if you feel like repping some Tundra swag, follow the link in the description below to our new store on Teespring. Thanks for watching, Tundra Nation, and you can now find us on Instagram at Tundra Tactical MN. We love you, don't worry.